Hello, Year 4, and welcome to day 26 of our home learning. It is Monday, the 22nd of February 2021. I've put my email address there if anyone wants to email me some of their work. I hope you've all had a lovely, relaxing holiday. You've done lots of exercise, so you've been out in the fresh air, well, the cold, and you are ready for some of our so fantastic work. So let's get on. There is a little change this half term. Let's see what that change is going to be. Okay then, so our early morning work. Our early morning work last half term was maths. We're going to do our grammar, our SPAG, this half term, okay, or until you come back to school, and we'll carry it on in class. So my class, you will know exactly what I expect, but if you're in Mr. Smith's, what I expect you to do is to write that sentence down. So, what a beautiful day. The sun is beaming down on the sandy beach. So, you'll need to pause the video now and write that sentence down. Okay, so you have that sentence down on your paper. I want you to tell me, number one, what is the exclamation? Some punctuation there might be able to help you. Okay, number two, I want you to write down the answer. Identify part of the sentence in the present tense. Which part of that sentence is in the present tense? Then number three, rewrite in the past progressive tense. Now, if you just forget the word progressive, okay, and you just say it in the past tense. So what would that sentence be in the past tense? I want you to tell me number four. Identify the expanded noun phrase. Now, we have done this last half term. Do not let me down, year four. And what word, class, what kind of word is beaming? The sun is beaming down on the sandy beach. Think about when you did your sentence surgery, when you underlined your sentences in different colours. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb? Is it an adverb? So pause the video now to do those 5 questions. Okay, so the answers. What a beautiful day. The sun is beaming down on the sandy beach. So the question was, number 1 was what is the exclamation? And you've got an exclamation mark there that will help you, that would have helped you. So it's what a beautiful day. So what is in the past, in the present tense? The sun is beaming down on the sandy beach. So is beaming shows that it's in the present tense. If you were to write that in the past tense, it would be the sun was beaming down on the sandy beach. Then you had an expanded noun phrase to identify the expanded noun phrase, and that is the sandy beach, because beach is your noun and sandy is an adjective. It is describing the noun. And the last one was, what word class was beaming. It is a verb because the sun is beaming down. I hope you didn't find that too bad. Okay, now this is where I hope that I'm in the right place. I've looked on the past PowerPoints and everything, and the last thing that we did was we wrote a leaflet all about the ocean. Yeah? So I make it that we are up to chapter 7. I hope I'm right. I will read part of it and then you need to read to the end of the chapter. Okay? So Toothless wakes up. Toothless woke up about 3 weeks later. Fishlegs and Hiccup were at Hiccup's house. Everybody was out, so Hiccup decided to take the opportunity to check on Toothless's basket. He pulled it out from under the bed. A thin plume of bluey grey smoke was drifting out from under the lid. Fishlegs whistled. "He's awake, all right," said Fishlegs. "Here we go." Hiccup opened the basket. The smoke billowed out and made Hiccup and Fishlegs cough. Hiccup fanned it away. Once his eyes had stopped watering, he could make out a very small, ordinary dragon, looking up at him with enormous, innocent, grass-green eyes. "Hello, Toothless," said Hiccup, in what he hoped was a good accent in Dragonese. "What are you doing?" asked Fishlegs curiously. Dragonese is punctuated by shrill shrieks and popping noises and sounds most extraordinary when spoken by a human. "Just talking to it," mumbled Hiccup, very embarrassed. "Just talking to it?" gasped Fishlegs in astonishment. "What do you mean, you're talking to it? You can't talk to it. It's an animal, for Thor's sake." "Oh, shut up, Fishlegs," said Hiccup impatiently. "You're frightening it." Toothless huffed and puffed and blew out some smoke rings. He inflated his neck to make himself look bigger, which is something dragons do when they're scared or angry. Eventually he got up the courage to unfurl his wings and flap up onto Hiccup's arm. He walked his way up to Hiccup's shoulder, and Hiccup turned his face towards him. Toothless pressed his forehead onto Hiccup's forehead and gazed deeply and solemnly into Hiccup's eyes. They stayed there, snout to nose, without moving, for about 60 seconds. Hiccup had to blink a lot because the gaze of a dragon is hypnotic and gives the unnerving feeling that it is sucking your soul away. Hiccup was just thinking, "Wow, this is amazing. I'm really making contact here," when Toothless bent down and bit him on the arm. Hiccup let out a yelp and threw Toothless off him. "Fish!" hissed Toothless, hovering in the air in front of Hiccup. "What fish now?" "I haven't got any fish," said Hiccup in Dragonese, rubbing his arm. Luckily, Toothless didn't have any teeth, but dragons have powerful jaws, so it was still painful. Toothless bit him on the other arm. "For fish!" said Toothless again. "Are you okay?" asked Fishlegs. "I can't believe I'm asking this, but what's he saying?" "He wants to eat," replied Hiccup, grimly rubbing both arms. He tried to make his voice sound firm but pleasant, to dominate the creature by the sheer force of his personality. As Gobber had said, "But we have no fish." "Okay then," said Toothless. "Eat cat." He made a lunge for Fiddlesticks, who streaked up the nearest wall with a yowl of terror. Hiccup just managed to grab Toothless by the tail as he flew off in pursuit. The dragon struggled wildly, shouting, "Want fish now! Want for food now! Cats are yummy! Want food now!" "We don't Have any fish, repeated Hiccup from between gritted teeth, feeling all his calmness deserting him. And you can't eat the cat. I like him. Fiddlesticks mewed indignantly from a beam high up in the roof. They put Toothless in Stoic's bedroom, where there was a mouse problem. For a while he was happy swooping after the desperately squeaking mice, but then he got bored and started attacking the mattress. Stop! Yelled Hiccup as feathers flew in all directions. Toothless replied by sticking up the remains of a recently deceased mouse right in the middle of Stoic's pillow. Ah, said Hiccup. Ah, said Stoic the Vast, who entered the room at that very moment. Toothless launched himself at Stoic the Vast's beard, which he mistook for a chicken. Get him off, said Stoic. He doesn't do what I say, said Hiccup. Yell very loudly at him, Stoic shouted. Very loudly. Hiccup yelled as loudly as he could. Please, will you stop eating my father's beard? As Hiccup had suspected, Toothless took absolutely no notice whatsoever. I knew I'd be useless at yelling, thought Hiccup gloomily. Drop to the floor, you ribble little reptile, yelled Stoic. Toothless dropped to the floor. You see, said Stoic, that's how to deal with dragons. Newt's Breath and Hook Fang, Stoic's hunting dragons, came padding into the room. Toothless stiffened as they paced around him, their yellow eyes glinting evilly. Each was about the size of a leopard, and they were as delighted by his arrival as a couple of giant cats might be by that of a cute little kittens. Greetings, fellow fire breather, hissed Newt's Breath as he gave the wriggling newcomer a sniff. We must wait, purred Hook Fang menacingly, until we are alone, and then we can give you a proper welcome. He gave a vicious swipe at Toothless with one paw. A claw like a kitchen knife just nicked Toothless on the rump, and the little dragon howled and jumped into Hiccup's tunic until only his tail was poking out of the neck. Hook Fang, bellowed Stoic. My claw slipped, whined Hook Fang. Get out of here before I make you into handbags, yelled Stoic, and Newt's Breath and Hook Fang slunk out, muttering obscene dragon curses under their breaths. As I was saying, said Stoic the Vast, that's how to deal with dragons. Stoic was looking at Toothless and with uncharacteristic anxiety. Son, said Stoic, hoping there might be some sort of mistake. Is this dragon your dragon? Yes, father, Hiccup admitted. It's very, it's very small, isn't it? Said Stoic slowly. Stoic was not an observant person, but even he could not fail to notice that this dragon really was remarkably small, and it hasn't got any teeth. There was an awkward silence. Fishlegs came to Hiccup's rescue. That's because it's an unusual breed, said Fishlegs. A unique and violent species called the Toothless Daydream, distant relations of the monstrous Nightmare, but far more ruthless and so rare they are practically extinct. Right, what I would like you to do now is I would like you to read the last couple of pages until you get to chapter 8. So pause the video now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to learn about the past and the present tense. And so what we're going to do is we're going to learn. You, you heard the word progressive in one of the early morning questions. Okay, so we're going to learn about that. Okay, so we're going to learn, and the target is I can understand the past and progressive tense. So what I would like you to do is listen very carefully. So, what is the progressive tense? Okay, and it's not difficult. If you just listen, you might need to go back and listen again, but you will get this. So in English, we use the progressive tense to talk about experience and events that happened or continue to happen for a period of time. We can use past progressive tense and present progressive tense. So if it's past progressive, okay, it's the past tense. That's you started something in the past and you're still doing now. Present, you're doing it now and you're going to do it in the future. Let's talk about that. So when you think of the progressive tense, think of the word progressing. Any progressive verbs will end in ing. Then use either was or were for past, or is or are for present, depending on whether the noun is singular or plural. Okay, so if it's words, the verbs, okay, will end in ing, like running, singing, again ends in ing. Then you use was or were if it was past tense. So the children were singing. I was running. If it's the present, we are running. She is running. Okay? Let's have a look at the past progressive tense first. So we all know the past tense. It's already happened. Okay? So we're going to look at the past progressive tense is formed using was or were. So she was, we were, and then you add that to the present participle verb, which is simply run, jump, hit, help, okay? But you add ing onto that word, okay? You can see that the past progressive, it starts in the past and it's not yet to the present. So if you have a look at the sentence, the present participle verb and ing. So the past present participle verb is run and then you're adding ing. So the girl was running in the race. I know that is in the past progressive because it uses was and it uses ing on running. So let's have a look at these sentences. It has to have, remember, for past progressive, was or were, depending on if there is more than one. If there's more than one person, it is were. If there is just one person, it is was. And you're adding ing onto the verb. So the Romans, something, the gladiators. Now I've done that one for you. The Romans were watching the gladiators. The Romans were fighting the gladiators. It wouldn't be the Romans was watching because there's more than one Roman. Okay? you have your present participle, the watch, and then you've got your ing on the end. So let's have a think about Jamie Oliver. How many Jamie Olivers is there? There's only one. Jamie Oliver, something, the meal. Now, Jamie Oliver is a chef. You might have seen him on TV, and he's done lots of work for healthy meals for children in school. So, what do you think Jamie Oliver was doing? Cooking. Jamie Oliver, something, cooking the meal. Okay, would it be was or were? How many Jamie Olivers? There's one, so it would be was. Jamie Oliver was cooking the meal. So we've got our verb, cook, and we're adding the ing on there. The boy, something, rugby. Would it be was or were? How many boys are there? There is one. And what do you think the boy was doing? Playing. Yeah, because you've got play with ing on the end. The boy was playing rugby. The athletes, something in the Olympics. So, would it be was or were? How many athletes are there? Is there one or is there more? What do you think the athletes were doing? Competing. The athletes were competing in the Olympics. And there you can see the answers. Brilliant. So let's have a look at the present progressive tense. Okay, so we've done the past. So if it's the past progressive, it means it started off in the past and it's still in the past, and you use was or were and you put ing on your verb. Now we're looking at the present progressive tense. So the present progressive tense is formed using am or is or are. So instead of having was and were, you have am, is or are. And the present participle, and you still add that ing onto the verb. Okay? So the present progressive tense is used to show three things: actions that are happening now, actions that are temporary, that are not forever, and definite future plans. Okay? So let's have a look at the examples. So the present progressive using am or is or are. And if it's happening now, their mother is cooking in the kitchen. Remember, you're adding ing again onto your verb, the present participle verb. So their mother is cooking in the kitchen. Is, and then the ing on the cooking shows that it is present progressive. Then the girls are staying here for a few nights. So it's not happening forever. Okay? So you've got are, because there are more than one girl. There is more than one girl. And you've got staying. Okay? To stay is the verb. So ing needs to be added. Then the third reason, if it's definite future plans, tomorrow I am going to climb the mountain. I'm definitely going up to climb the mountain tomorrow. So it's tomorrow I am. If it was tomorrow we are, I am. we are. And going is the verb to go. Let's have a look and see if we can do some of these examples. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the present progressive tense. So, the politicians are debating on television. There is more than one politician, so it's are. And they're debating on television. They're doing it now. Taylor Swift, something at the festival. Now, Taylor Swift sings. So Taylor Swift is singing at the festival. The third one, the girl, her tea. So the girl, what could she be doing with her tea? Eating. So the girl, there's only one girl, so it's is eating her tea. The doctor's something brain surgery. Now, how many doctors are there? There's more than one because there's an S on there. So the doctors are doing brain surgery. That doesn't sound right, does it? The doctors are performing brain surgery, I would say. And there you can see the answers. Okay, so your task, first of all, is I would like you to write those sentences down. I would like you to then underline the present progressive part. So let's have a look at the first one. The teacher is staring across the classroom. Which words tell you it is the present progressive? Is staring. Now, is that because the actions are happening now? Is it because actions that are temporary? Or is it because they're definite future plans? It's because the actions are happening now. So I would write, the teacher is staring across the classroom. I would underline it's staring. And then I would write actions that are happening now. Then number 2, in the morning, the children are going to have a test. Is that temporary? Is it definite? Or is it actions that are happening now? So show me which words show me it is the present progressive. Okay, if you will pause the video now and do that for me. Okay, let's go through your answers. So actions that are happening now, you should have put the teacher is staring across the classroom, and is staring shows the present progressive. The rabbit is munching on the greens he was given. That is saying that it's happening now, and is munching shows the present progressive. The actions that are temporary, the cleaner is going away for a few days. She's coming back. So is going is your present progressive verb. And the definite future plans, in the morning the children are going to have a test. Are going shows that it is present progressive and it is future plans. The children are planning to adopt a guinea pig tomorrow. Are planning is your present progressive. Okay, your task. What I want you to do is I want you to find your sheet for Monday and complete that, please. And then you need to write 3 sentences using what we have just read. And can you write those sentences in the present progressive tense? And can you write 3 sentences in the past progressive tense, please? So what you need to do now is you need to pause the video and get on with that. Go back and listen to the present and past progressive if you need to. Remember, it is just was and were, are, am, and is. Okay? Plus the ing. Okay, so a little bit different for our workout in our maths at the moment. You have got a maths morning workout just to wake you up with maths. So, because you've got some quite simple work to do this morning. So, pause the video now until you have got all of that sorted, please, for me. Okay, so we're going to be looking at telling the time. Now, I'm not sure where you're up to with this because I know that you would have missed this in whilst you were in year 3. So it's been a while, and I know some children, some, not all, find it difficult to tell the time. So we're going to start at the very beginning, okay? And I do apologise if you already know, but it will get harder as the days go on, okay? So we're going to be using the clock face. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at hours and minutes and how that it looks on a clock. Okay? On a clock, on an analog clock, you will see 2 hands. The short hand, or the shortest hand, tells you the hour. Okay, and that's called the hour hand. And that will point at a number and you will be able to see what hour it is. You then have a minute hand, and that tells you how many minutes past or to the hour it is, but that's longer than the hour hand. Okay, when the minute hand, remember that's the big hand, is pointing to 12, it is showing a full hour, and we call that o'clock. So on the clock, like you can see there, the hour hand is pointing at the 8, and the minute hand is pointing to the 12. So we say that that time is 8 o'clock. Yeah? So now you can see the clock face, and around the outside you've got 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then it goes round again, and that's a whole day. So there are 24 hours in one day. I wonder if you can tell me what time that is saying. Where's the minute hand pointing to? And where's the hour hand pointing to? Yeah, it is 7 o'clock. Let's have a look at this one. We've got the big hand. The minute hand is pointing to the 12. Who can remember what we say if the minute hand is pointing to the 12? And the hour hand, the short hand, is pointing to the 3. So it is 3 o'clock. What time is it? Shout it louder, louder. It's 11 o'clock. What about this one? Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. Okay, so this time I would like you to tell me to point which clock shows 2 o'clock. Have a look through. Which one do you think shows 2 o'clock? Which clock shows 4 o'clock? Yeah, it's the first one, isn't it? Because we have 4 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. And which one shows 10 o'clock? We've got 4 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock. And which one shows 3 o'clock? Yeah, it's the middle one. Okay, so we've done o'clocks. That's when the big hand points to the 12. Okay, so we're now going to look at half past times. So in 1 hour, the minute hand, remember, which is the big hand, travels all the way around the clock face, all the way around the circle. Now you can see it traveling. It is, and there's 1 hour. So if we divide the full circle into 2 halves, it takes half an hour for the minute hand to travel halfway around the circle. There you can see that's halfway around the circle. When half an hour has gone past, we say the time is half past the hour. So if you can see it is 3 o'clock. If we go halfway around the circle, it is 3:30, because we're not at 4 o'clock yet. Can you notice something about what's happened? And then we've got 4 o'clock. I wonder what time it is there. It is half past the hour. The minute hand will point to the 6, which we've already learned. The hour hand will be halfway between one number and the next. So it is in between the 7 and the 8. So it's already been 7 o'clock and we're moving towards 8 o'clock. Yeah, so what time do you think it might be? Yeah, it's 7:30. Okay, so let's have a look at this one. The minute hand is pointing to the 6, which is halfway around the clock. Where is the hour hand pointing? Is it on the number or is it in between? It's halfway between 1 and 2. So it's been 1 o'clock and when it's travelling around the clock towards 2 o'clock. So it's 1:30. I wonder if anyone can help me with this one. Okay. Where is the minute hand pointing? It's pointing to the 6. What does that mean? It is 1:30. Where is the hour hand pointing? Between the 11 and 12. And so what is the time? 11:30. What time do you think it is? It is 8:30. Okay then, which is correct? Which clock is showing 2:30? Which clock is showing 9:30? And which clock is showing 7:30? So number one, the first clock, it is 9:30, and it's been to 9 o'clock, so it's 9:30. The second clock, 9:30. It's been 7, it's between 7 and 8, so it's 7:30. And this one, it's 9:30. It's been 2, so it's 2:30. Right, it's feeding time at the zoo. Can you help Sam work out which animal she needs to feed now? So it's, what time is it? Which animal does she need to feed? Yeah, the snake, because it's 9:30. Okay, your task. You need to find Monday's sheets, and it is drawing on the hands of the clock and also telling the time. Read the instructions, okay? Be careful where you put your hour hand for the 9:30, because if it's not in between, then it will be wrong, okay? So pause the video now. Okay, so we're going to move on to our reading workshop, The Firework Maker's Daughter. So I am thinking we have read chapter 6. If not, then you need to read it yourselves, okay? I'll read the first page, chapter 6, and that's page 81. How they did it, Lila never knew. They stopped only for Hamlet to drink deeply from the river while Lila and Chulac snatched some fruit from the trees overhanging the bank. But after hours and hours of pounding and trudging and half running on blistered feet, they came to the outskirts of the city. The sun was setting. Of course, Hamlet attracted a lot of attention as soon as he was seen, because everyone knew that the white elephant had escaped. Soon they were surrounded by a curious crowd, all trying to touch Hamlet for luck, and before they got anywhere near the palace, they could move no further. Can you remember it now? Yeah? Okay. What I would like you to do is I would like you to complete reading that chapter, okay? And then on the next page, we have some questions. So pause the video now until you've read that chapter. Okay, so I would like you to write the date and target, and you have got 3 things that I would like you to do. The first one is a statement. So I would like you to write the statement. Hamlet wants to be alone with the king. Can you explain why? So part of it is a statement, part of it is a question. And I would like you to answer that in full sentences, please. Hamlet wants to be alone with the king because can be your first sentence starter. Remember your presentation? The second one, how do you know that Lila and Lalchand had missed each other? So what did they do to show you that they had missed each other? Answer in full sentences, please. And then I would like you to write a dialogue between the king and Hamlet. Okay? So they've met each other and they're talking, but we don't know what they said. You have got to write the conversation that you think they had. Okay, now we've done lots of work on inverted commas, so this is going to help you. Okay, so you need to pause the video now, use the text to support you. Okay, so we are going to be looking at geography. Okay, remember geography is looking at the world around us, and you've got two photographs up on that page. Do you know what they are? So, yeah, they're tornadoes. So we're going to look at what is a tornado. And then we have another picture. If you think about, is it the Wizard of Oz and the tornado? So a tornado is a violent rotating column of air. So a violent, it's very strong. A rotate, if something rotates, it's going round and round. And a column is going up and down. Yeah, so this violent, really strong turning column of air goes from the ground and the clouds. Okay, and it's touching both. So, when do tornadoes occur? So, they can happen at any time of the year and at any time of the day. And there you've got a picture. In the southern states, peak tornado season is usually from March to May. And these usually happen in America. Okay, it's very rare that it happens here. Peak times for tornadoes in the northern states are during the summer. It's not fully understood how exactly tornadoes form, how they grow, and how they stop. But researchers are still trying to solve the puzzle. But what it actually is when the hot air from Mexico, yeah, if you think about the maps that you've done, and the cool air from Canada come down and meet, and all of a sudden something happens. So to be safe, you need to make sure everyone knows where to go in case a tornado threatens. Prepare your home with food, a first aid kit, and a battery operated radio. And during the tornado, it's going in the basement, which is below the ground. It's like a cellar. Okay, and after a tornado, stay inside until it's safe to come out and check for injured or trapped people. So, I want you to look at the task. I want you to do a storyboard and write few sentences and use diagrams to explain how tornadoes are formed. So I've got a few more slides as well, okay, to help you. So can you just do the date and target, please? Pause the video now. Okay, so how tornadoes form? So most tornadoes form from thunderstorms. So you need warm, moist air, so quite damp air from Mexico, and cool, dry air. Yeah. So where do they occur? In the central part of the United States of America. There's over 5 tornadoes every year. So they can happen any time of the year and any time of the day. In the southern states, we've already said the peak tornado season is from March to May, and the peak times from in the northern states is in the summer. So I want you to go back to your task, and I would like you to see if you can draw some diagrams. You might want to watch some videos of how a tornado is formed and see if you can do a storyboard. Okay? Brilliant.